As he said, we will now learn about the Smart Service Maturity Index, and this intro will be given by Dr. Martin Rabe, who is Business Development Manager at Fraunhofer IEM since 2019, after having served as a research associate. Fraunhofer IEM offers expertise for intelligent mechatronics and business models in the context of Industry 4.0 and obviously smart services. Since 2014, Martin Rabe is Project Manager Strategy for Research and Development at ITS OWL, Cluster Management Intelligent Technical Systems in Ostwestfalen-Lippe. He is member of the development team of the Smart Service Maturity Index and holds a PhD in Digital Business Engineering at Paderborn University, specializing on smart services. Thanks for being here as well, and now very much looking forward to learn about the index itself.
Thank you. So now it's on me to give you some insights about the index itself. So we heard a lot about the motivation for the index and what are the potentials. And now I would like to give you some insights what we did. But to summarize, what we heard before is that on the road to a smart service provider, companies face various challenges because it's not just changing a product or new product, it's more about changing the whole company at some point. And smart services we saw have a great potential, but the development, commercialization, and the provision deployment is confronting the companies with major challenges. And smart services are not just one product. They build a complex and interdisciplinary field of action, and a large solution space because many things are possible with smart services. Of course, to successfully place smart services on the market, it's also possible to think about the business, to think about the ecosystem where the business is done. And some figures, the study said that a lot of companies are already aware of the potentials, but still looking for supporting tools to align with the transformation. And our goal with the Smart Service Index, our solution is that we are offering a structured assessment to systematically identify individual challenges of the company to take the next steps being a smart service provider, then a target definition process to see where to go, the next steps, and to see the field of action, and then to bring different measures on a roadmap to transform the company. So what is the index itself? So basically it's a large amount of questions, and these are structured in 6 dimensions. So we are in the 6 dimensions. We have questions with different answers that are divided in the different stages of the Smart Service Index. We already have had the summarize of the dimensions. So it's about the market offering, of course, the product itself. Usually this index is used by product-driven companies. Then it's about service and user experience, about the business and the ecosystem. And on the other side, the value creation. There it's about to have the right technology stack, to make changes in the organization, in the management, and also the people and the culture. So now I would like to go in every dimension to make a short deep dive and to motivate it. So I will show some examples for challenges in these dimensions, starting with product and connectivity. So in this field, like mentioned, most of the companies are product-driven. They have a machine or other mechatronic system. And this is very obvious. Usually it needs to be connected to the internet with IoT components. And then the data need to be processed in a cloud, for example. APIs need to be defined to exchange the data internally within the company, but also with other companies within the value chain. And what we are looking for in this dimension is what data does already exist, what data does the product already is collecting, generating, And in regards of the connectivity is a question, how is the data collected, how often? So is it just per day? Is it in batches? Is it streamed in real time to a central system? Looking to service and user experience, why is this important? We heard that already. Also, the business is changing, and it's not just about a one-off payment where you sell a machine and then looking for some service contracts. It usually comes with a subscription agreement, for example, and then the challenge is a lack of knowledge about the use of the product along the life cycle of the product. And that we have different value proposition of the product and the service we had already. So, and if you are not aware of this, you're missing a lot of potential of the value proposition a service can deliver. And of course, the importance of user interface and user experience. So usually a service, then if you have a service subscription, a SaaS service subscription, the client, the customer is not happy with the experience, the contract isn't then running. So what we are asking here is, for example, in the service, are the services already customizable? So is it using the potential that you have a lot of variants? So as a product provider, you usually try to have less variants. It's expensive to produce, but the service business is different. And then the other question in regards of the user experience is how advanced is the user experience? So is the company aware that the usability, so if you're in a product business, you usually talk about usability, and in a service business, it's user experience. So even in B2B, customers expecting the same user experience they have, for example, with their smartphone or their smart device. Coming to business and ecosystem, we heard this is an important topic because sometimes the business model is more important than the product itself. And challenges are there that companies are not, that the potentials of digital business models are not fully used. So for example, there lies large potentials in the revenue model. So usually product-driven companies using a one-off payment, selling their machines, but a subscription model or a freemium model or a pay-per-use model have a great potential for the companies to extend their business. And then there is not a collaboration between the partners and the value network. Usually you look into your value chain, you look forward and backwards, but when you're in an ecosystem, you have a value network. So you need to look for new partners to collaborate with them. So what we are looking into in the index in the field of business is, for example, whether the products and service are already bundled in a digital business model. For example, in a subscription model or in a pay-per-use model. And in the ecosystem, we are looking for, to what extent partners are already involved. Are the partners already known, and then are they involved? Coming to the value creation, of course, technology and data is important. Data is important. And there are the challenges, for example, that there is no sufficient data infrastructure to run a central data processing. So for a software company, it's clear, but for a mechanical-driven company, there needs to be sufficient data infrastructure, a data and a technology stack. And products are usually developed not software-driven, like we heard in the history of companies like Class. They come from a mechanical-driven development process, and if they try to develop smart services with a product-driven and not software-driven process, they are facing many challenges. So what we are looking for is how does the technology stack looks like right now and what is needed to get to the next steps. And in the data is in what extent the data is already analyzed. So is the data already analyzed, centralized, and then in what extent, and is it already used for market offerings? Coming to organization and management, like we heard, it's very important to also make changes in your organization and the management. So for example, product-driven companies often have no development process for services, no departments for that. and then their management, the management KPIs doesn't reflect the service business. So for example, retention or churn rate or customer lifetime value, these are words for software companies, they are clear, but for product-driven companies, they are sometimes new. So we are looking into the organization, looking into the processes, looking into the structures, responsibilities, and have they already been adapted to the service business? So are there already people caring about the service business? Are there distinctive, for example, teams, development teams? Is the service team already aligned to that? And in regards of the management, is the management incentivized? So are they pushing the service business, or is it right now just a side business and not the core business? Are they aware of this? People and culture, there are the challenges of, that the company needs to be aware that completely new competencies are needed. Of course, data scientists, data engineers, but then, for example, user interface and user experience designers who make the development of the service itself. And then, of course, that you need to have interdisciplinary development teams and systems thinking and a systems engineering, so that it's clear that a service is a teamwork between different disciplines. So what we are looking there is in the area of people, are there the relevant competencies and human resources available? Is the company aware of this? Is there a systematic review of what is needed? And in culture, is there the right mindset and culture practice in the companies? Are there, for example, open spaces where different disciplines can work together? Are there programs like an internal incubator program, for example, within the company? So this was just a deep dive into the dimensions. So each dimension has several questions. All in all, we have 80 questions, and there are answers for 4 to 6 levels per question. And now I would like to show how we apply this in the context of a company. So the first step is the assessment. So we look into each dimension. So we are analyzing the existing service offering, and then we are making interviews in different business areas, different functions, and looking for answers to our questions. And then we can make a calculation of the maturity in each dimension and the overall level, like mentioned in the presentation before. That's the first step. In the second step, it's about setting targets based on strategic decision. So it's not like we heard before, it's not always that the company needs to reach level 6. It's more about to look into the own business, to look into the ecosystem, to look what the market is doing, and then make a strategic decision what level wants the company reach. And then in the next step, in the last step is, how do we approach the targets? So it's about analyzing the gap between the status quo and your targets, and it's about identifying appropriate measures. And we also in our study worked out more than 100 measures that we can then tailor it to an individual company to go the next steps to reaching the next level. And then all the measures need to be derive a synchronized roadmap, because there are, of course, dependencies. This is also an important point. So it's not enough to make all your homework on the product, on the technical side, and forget the business side. So all these measures are somehow connected to each other. And there we also are giving support to bring them in a synchronized roadmap. So our offer is that we can support doing the next step together with a company, accelerating the transformation to a service company. So doing the status quo analysis with a company, then looking into defining targets and making strategic decisions where the company wants to go, and then develop a roadmap on how the transformation can be done. So this was just some insight into the index. We are not already done with the index. We have some weeks to go collecting, using the index right now with some pilot customers, pilot companies. But you can already visit our website, and we will have another event in Munich end of March where we officially present the complete index. So there are also, you're kindly invited to this event. And of course, you can directly reach me on LinkedIn, for example, if you have any questions. And yeah, some last words. When I started as an engineer, as a PhD student, I listened to a keynote of Mr. Kagermann talking about Industry 4.0, and I was totally bullish into the topic and said, let's bring this into the industry. Then we went to all the, as a Fraunhofer Institute, to all the companies and saw, okay, it's not that easy. Sometimes it was not clear what is actually the goal, what we want to do next. And then it was important, we saw that it needs industry leader or influencers who push that forward, and we want to do the same with smart services, because we see today Industry 4.0 is a success, is a worldwide success, applying it in our own factories and also selling all these technologies to others. And we are sure that with smart services we can make the same success like with Industry 4.0. Thank you for your attention.